Our first example today, z to the negative 2 times z to the negative 4 times z to the third. They're all z's, and it's all multiplication. So what do we do when we multiply? Add the exponents. So we do negative 2 plus negative 4 plus 3. Negative 2 and negative 4 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Okay, we cannot leave our answers with negative exponents, and we cannot leave 0 exponents. So anytime you see a negative exponent at what you think is your answer, deal with that negative exponent. This is currently z to the negative 3 over 1. We need to flip that around and put the z to the negative 3 on the bottom. There would be a 1, z to the positive 3 on the bottom, and there would be a 1 on the top. There's always a times 1 in there, so that 1 is kind of the placeholder that keeps something in the numerator. Okay, number 2. Anytime you see parentheses, especially if those parentheses have an exponent right after them, you should always deal with those parentheses first. That's just going to make everything a whole lot easier. So I've got x to the 6th, y to the 3rd. There's a z that comes after that. And honestly, the order does not matter. So if you wanted to write x to the 6th, y to the 3rd first, and then put the rest of the stuff after, that would be fine. Some people like to deal with the negatives right now, but I'm going to wait until the end to see what negatives we have. Okay, so first I'm looking for x's because you want to write your simplified answer in alphabetical order. So x's first. We've got x to the 6th. Then y's. We've got a y to the 1st and a y to the 3rd. That would be y to the 4th. And then z's. We've got z to the negative 2 and z to the 1st. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Should the x to the 6th and the y to the 4th move or stay? Stay, because they are positive exponents. The z is the only one that moves. Only the negative exponent pieces move. The positive exponent pieces stay put. And if you want to write z to the 1st at the bottom, that's totally fine, but you don't need to write something to the 1st because you just don't need that one. Okay. Number 3, we apply the negative 2 to all of the exponents. And here's something that is a very common mistake. This is not 4x squared. This is 4 times x squared. The 4 is separate from the x squared. This is actually 4 to the 1st. So we do have to multiply a 1 times negative 2. We'd have 4 to the negative 2, x to the negative 4, y to the positive 6. Why don't you pause and finish that one on your own? On your assignment today, the top part of the assignment is going to say, you may leave your answers as numbers raised to an exponent, but no negative or 0 exponents allowed in your final answer. So on the top half of your assignment, this answer would be fine. But on the bottom half of your assignment, it says, simplify the expression, evaluate any numerical pieces of the expression. So let's practice how we would do this on the bottom half of our worksheet. If we were actually going to fully simplify and evaluate, we would need to do 4 squared. What is 4 squared? 16. So our final answer would be y to the 6th over 16 x to the 4th. If we get something bigger, I'll make sure that we all know how to put that into our calculator. Okay. This one is all nicely lined up already. We've got the numbers. We've got the x's. We've got the y's. And we got the z's. All right, the numbers. A lot of people get these properties of exponents stuck into their head, and then they start to use those properties for everything, so they try to subtract 18 minus 24. This is not, 18 and 24 are not exponents. They are actual numbers. So this is the fraction 18/24. You can take 18/24 in your calculator and simplify it if you want to. If you have a scientific calculator, you can use your ABC button, 18 ABC 24, simplify the fraction. If you're using a graphing calculator or the graphing calculator that's on your computer, you do 18 divided by 24. And then the math button has a whole bunch of helpful tools in it. The math button is right underneath the green alpha button. Math button, the very first thing is to fraction, so push enter again. That simplifies to the fraction 3/4. So you can let the calculator do the work for you on that one. Okay, now the x's. We're dividing, so we subtract. What is 4 minus a negative 4? Why won't this thing erase? Oh my gosh. 4 minus negative 4 is 8. Then y's, 6 minus 3 is 3. And z's, 3 minus 3 is 0. What is z to the 0? 1. So that doesn't even need to be written in there at all. Now, there's another way to think about this. So when you subtract, you always write the result in the numerator, but you can also think of it as this x to the negative 4 would be moving up to the top to join x to the 4th on the top. Y to the 3rd would cancel out 3 of the 6 y's, leaving 3 left over, and then the z to the 3rds completely cancel each other out. So our final answer here is 3x to the 8th, y to the 3rd over 4. Okay, is number 5 similar? Kind of. Let's start this together and then I'll let you finish it on your own. So first we have the parentheses. So we've got x to the positive 4, y to the negative 12. On the bottom we have x to the 9th and y to the 15th. Pause and give that one a try on your own. 4 minus 9 is negative 5, so we have x to the negative 5th. Negative 12 minus 15 is negative 27, so we have y to the negative 27th. This would be 1 over x to the 5th, y to the 27th. The other way to think about this is the 4 x's on the top would cancel out 4 of the 9, leaving 5 left over. The y to the negative 12th would go down to the bottom and join y to the 15th, and you'd have y to the 27th on the bottom. So you can use that subtraction property, or you can just look at where things are and move things where they need to go and then combine them there. All right, number 6. The best strategy in number 6 is to combine all of the top together, combine all of the bottom together, and then simplify vertically. There's probably other ways that you could do this, but this one seems to make the most sense to the most brains. So this is the one that I recommend. We've got 20x to the 14th, y to the 10th. I'm just rearranging the order so it's numbers and then alphabetical order. On the bottom, sometimes there's another number. Like if there was a 2 in front of this first denominator and like a 5 in front of the second denominator, you'd multiply those numbers together. In this case, there isn't. There's just the 2. But we have x to the 3rd and another x, so that's x to the 4th on the bottom. And then y to the 6th and y to the 9th. 6 plus 9 is 15. So now take a moment, pause, and simplify the rest of this on your own. Okay, and again, if you don't like this 10 minus 15 gives us y to the negative 5th on the top, and then you have to move it, just think about where it is and that it cancels out 10 of the 15, leaving 5 left over on the bottom. So some people prefer using the addition and subtraction rules. Some people prefer just looking at what you have and kind of visualizing factors on the bottom canceling factors on the top, or factors on the top canceling factors on the bottom. Okay, number 7, the most complicated one. If we can do the most complicated one, we can do anything, right? Where should we start? We should start with the parentheses. So for now, I'm going to recopy what I have over here on the left. 8. Excuse me. Okay, on the top, this 2 has to also be raised to the negative 2. So we would have 2 to the negative 2, x to the negative 6th, y to the positive 4, 3 to the negative 2, x to the positive 2, y to the negative 6. Okay, normally I would say leave your negative exponents until the very end, but this is one case where you need to do something about that. Okay, that 3 to the negative 2 actually needs to be, let me use a different color here. This 3 to the negative 2 needs to be a 3 squared on the top. And the 2 to the negative 2 needs to be a 2 squared on the bottom. Because what is 3 squared? 9. So you could make this a 9. Oops, I erased my 3. I didn't even erase my 3. And the 2 squared is a 4. Now we can actually multiply everything on the top together and everything on the bottom together. So on the top, 9 times 3 is 27. The 4 times the 8 is that 32? Sometimes my multiplication facts elude me. I've got x to the negative 5th and x to the negative 6th. That would be x to the negative 11th. Y to the 5th, y to the 4th. That would be y to the 9th. On the bottom, I dealt with my numbers already. X squared and x squared is x to the 4th. Y to the negative 2, y to the negative 6th is y to the negative 8th. Okay, that's a lot. If you like colors, like colored pens or highlighters or colored pencils, this is a great time to use it to kind of visualize things and group things together. Okay, 27 over 32, I would use my calculator to simplify that. I mean, you could simplify it by hand. It doesn't simplify. It stays 27 over 32. But the x's. And again, there's multiple ways that you could do this. You could move the 11 x's to the bottom. And then it's x to the 11th, x to the 4th. That would be x to the 15th on the bottom. Or you could do negative 11 minus 4 is negative 15. So you have x to the negative 15th on the top and then move that to the bottom. Y to the negative 8, that would move to the top and be y to the 17th on the top. Or you could do 9 minus a negative 8 to get positive 17, and that gives you the y to the 17th on the top. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to look at this and to approach this as you're trying to get to your final answer. Okay, the video will be here as soon as it's done being recorded. Your assignment is a worksheet. You click the link to view the worksheet. On the top half of this worksheet, you may leave your answers as numbers raised to an exponent, but no negative or zero exponents allowed. On the bottom, these are more similar to the examples we did today. I want you to fully evaluate. So like number 7, you're going to end up with 2 to the 15th. Yeah, that's going to be a big number, but do 2 raised to the 15th in your calculator and write that full number out as your answer.